Good morning. Welcome to Friday. Can you believe it? And it's humor, grace, and grief. And Deb is having a few technical moments, so we are working on the technical moments right now. Wait, there she is. Let me bring her in. I still can't hear you. Talk.
Can you hear me now?
I can now. Perfect.
Yeah, I read what you wrote. Who knew? Unhook the microphones.
And then it tells your computer to stop. It has been Friday and it's been a week, and I think probably we need to focus on Minneapolis because my goodness, it has been a horrible week there. And last night, yet another mass shooting. And I've got friends there who are they're not people who were targeted, but they're people in the people of color community and people who are in the therapeutic community. I've got family there. I haven't been in touch with them at all, but what a community, multiple tragedy, drama.
And there was also, was it last week, another mass shooting in Washington, D.C. or Washington, where they're rethinking about people didn't have cell phones. They weren't allowed to bring cell phones in.
Didn't hear about that one. Yeah.
I know. I'm just like, we're just getting back into society. And now we're having all these problems.
No, now the guns are coming back out and the shootings are coming back out because we're back with people reverting to old behavior patterns instead of perhaps learning to settle issues in a way that doesn't involve violence.
Right.
And probably the pandemic stress is adding to that. Mm-hmm. That's just a guess. That's not a scientific fact by any means. But be that as it may, we've got a community that's in the middle of one trial that's been horrific for lots of people.
And now another one.
And now we've got another officer involved shooting and a death. And now we've got
Chicago
a warehouse shooting, and we've got more shootings elsewhere.
Where was the warehouse shooting?
Last night.
Oh my gosh.
6 or 7 people died in Minneapolis last night.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm looking at my phone right now.
FedEx employees.
That's what I was talking about. Illinois, FedEx. It was Indianapolis.
Oh, it's Indianapolis. Okay, well,
that's why enough. That's right over here. Killed
Sorry, Minneapolis. Yeah, we've got one shooting after another right now, and we've got violence toward people of color. We've got social justice involved in that, and we've got mass shootings happening. Rapid fire. How do you like that? One after another after another. The guy last night, apparently it took 2 minutes to decimate 7 families, and his own.
That's right.
And his family is just as impacted by this as the others are.
And they didn't have their cell phones. That was the place that didn't have their cell phones.
Because they can't have them where they work.
Out.
Yeah.
So, I have no words of wisdom. I only have heart and able to walk with people emotionally through this, because there is I got no words. Here in Urbana, well, I live in St. Joe, 9 miles away, where not far from my daughter. They moved back here from from Louisiana, from New Orleans, because on their street in New Orleans, tons of violence. I mean, they were always hearing that pop, pop, pop. And now they called me last Sunday after we had just dropped off my basic son-in-law, and I dropped him off at his house, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh my gosh, we heard something," and then all the cops were there. The guy was shot dead in Urbana on his lawn. And
oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, And then we've been having so many more shootings in Champaign and Urbana and the surrounding town, where I have my art in Decatur. People are going, the law enforcement says nothing's working. We have to rethink about guns. Buyback isn't working. This isn't working. That they're having to rethink. And I hate that things have to come to this crisis. But in all, I really hate that there has to be this much loss.
And there doesn't have to be this much loss, but there is this much loss. Exactly. And this is, folks, we're not making this into a political whatever. This is there's no way to talk about mass shootings without talking about how they're occurring. And 2 minutes for 7 people to lose their lives. 7 families are waking up this morning. Hopefully they've been notified. If not, they've at least got the message that their loved one didn't come home last night. But the entire FedEx family in that warehouse, because when you work somewhere, you know people. Even in warehouses, you get to know people. Some of those people are going to have to go back to work. And the images are right there. We've got people who were first responders, people who were last responders. We've got the folks doing the investigations. Everyone is seeing those images, and they can't unsee them. And they can't, when you've had your safety taken, that's a loss. When you've had a crime committed in front of you, you lose your ability to feel like you can be safe anywhere else you go, especially in a similar place.
I have to say that I know Mary Tangora mentioned this last week or the week before. Is there any place that's safe? I think about how I went walking in the park last Sunday, and it was full, and it was a Japan house. How do I know that someone's not going to come and say, well, I need to take out all the Asians?
Yeah.
How many, or I go into a Goodwill and someone says, I'm mad at Goodwill. I am feeling that. I'm feeling that even with to take my grandkids any place, and these scenarios run through my head.
Right.
How do I keep them safe? How do I keep people safe?
And we've got kids back in school now, and schools used to be safe, but not since Columbine, and now even more so. And, Florida certainly sealed that. So we have a huge, we have the people who are currently just beginning to absorb in Indianapolis what just happened. And we've got the people from the shooting just before that and the one before that, and Colorado and King Super. There's just been so many so quickly. And
why are we the country? Why? I have to ask. I don't.
Because we have the guns. Other countries don't have the guns. I mean, it is that, but, and again, folks, I'm not saying we're advocating coming for your guns. Debra lives in an area where people hunt.
Yeah, I have no problem with guns.
I lived in Florida where you had to have a gun because of alligators and snakes. Right? But 7 people died in 2 minutes yesterday. And it's not about the gun, but it certainly is about 7 people being able to be made dead in 2 minutes. Because now we've got 7 families. That's at least 70 people who woke up to immense grief this morning. If you are in that area, or you know people in that area, because you know what, you always know somebody who knows somebody. If you know people in that area, make sure that you are probably not clogging their phones. Don't expect them to come chat with you. drop something off and tell them I'm here. If you have had enough people on your doorstep, we'll go sit in our backyard together, or I'll meet you somewhere. Let me let you have a space where you can just talk it out. Right? Drop off the food.
Right, right. I'll be talking to another humorist right after this call, and she lives in Indianapolis.
Oh,
I will be finding out how this affected her. And then I'll call my other friend and say, how are you doing? Who also lives in Indianapolis. I have friends in Indianapolis. The same
and you're
way.
thinking that they could have had people working there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it's I have to say, as far as that sick grief feeling, and I do say it's like anticipated grief. It in the last 4 weeks, and plus the Chauvin truck is on TV, and even before that, it's like we're just coming out of COVID to meet with others. It makes my stomach ill to think now there's new fears, and it is that loss of feeling safe.
We
And
just got to almost sort of safe with COVID.
that's right.
People are getting immunized.
Right.
And now, where is it that it's safe to go? Let's go back home again.
Exactly.
Except we have domestic violence too. We've had 3 intimate partner shootings in our area in the last week. And we've had children killed as a result of those. And so there's a whole lot of sense of loss of safety. And I see we've got people joining us this morning. If anyone wants to share what's making you feel safe or unsafe, what are your feelings about, thoughts about what's happening right now here in our country? And if you're not from our country, what is it like watching us right now?
Right.
And if you know people who are in those areas, any of the areas, because once there's been a mass shooting somewhere, when a mass shooting happens somewhere else, it brings all those other people from all those other hundreds of mass shootings into that, especially those who haven't finished their grief about the loss of their loved one, the loss of the place that they died, the loss of their sense of safety, the loss of the sense of family and community. All those are part of the losses. There's a lot of unnamed losses when something like this occurs. All those people are revisiting this.
And they're revisiting all the times they didn't feel safe in their family of origin, at in a relationship, even though there's the shooting and there was the relationship. It brings up and triggers those feelings, and that is reliving that loss of not feeling safe.
There's a huge sense of powerlessness.
Right.
Right. And we've got parents who have young people coming up in warehouse jobs or something kids can get with just finishing high school. Do you send your kids off to a job where you're not sure they're going to be safe? But warehouses or furniture building plants or grocery stores, or remember McDonald's in San Diego years and years and years ago. That was just about one of the first ones, and they knocked that store down and turned it into a park because of the Kroc family. So we've got a long history, and this is probably, I'm not going to use the word triggering, this is bringing back a lot of emotion for a lot of people. And we all have to go about our daily lives. But this goes with us, that sense of heaviness, that sense of powerlessness for all of us, that we can't go hug the entire city of Indianapolis. And besides that, the people who've just had that loss probably don't want to be hugged right now. They probably want to be in and be insular and just be with those they can safely. But we can send flowers to the gate. And that doesn't feel like enough.
No.
And then we have to be worried about where we're going to go. I have to go downtown after this. I'm not certain I want to go downtown right now.
That's right.
And it's only for 5 minutes, but I'm not certain I want to go.
Exactly. Because you don't know what's around the corner.
Right.
A year ago, we didn't know if anybody coughed what's around the corner. And now we don't know what people are thinking around the
Or
corner.
emoting.
Emoting, yes, yes.
Right. Because these shootings typically are somebody's mad at somebody else. Or there's a psychotic break, but I'm not going to blame this on mental health issues because not many more people have mental health issues and will never be violent. So don't hear me say that as a therapist.
Right, right.
There's all kinds of reasons and lack of support systems. And let's be each other's support systems right now. If you know people who are being, even if they just live in Indianapolis, follow Deb's lead. Reach out.
Just
Send them a
reach
text,
out
send
to
them
a
an email,
friend.
call them.
Yeah.
Messenger them. We've got all the ways, right? Tell them that you're thinking about them and their community. When we had the shootings here in San Bernardino, because I'm 10 minutes from there, and the shootings in Las Vegas, which is 4 hours from here, we had lots of people. Las Vegas and the Inland Empire are literally neighbors, and it's not unusual to go there for an overnight because it's so close. So lots more people from Southern California were impacted by that than even the people in Las Vegas. And you know, it impacts everybody around. And it's a moment you have to take a breath and recenter, but it helps a lot to hear from other people in other areas saying we're thinking about you.
Is anybody else, I can't check, but has anybody been tuning in or writing anything, Julie?
We haven't had any comments. We've got people watching. I can only see the ones who are on this page watching.
Right.
I know that we've got people scattered across the country who watch this and people who watch it afterwards because we see about you afterwards.
Right, right.
So let's talk about how we get through yet another one of these while we're also in the middle of the impact of the Chauvin trial and the impact of the other shooting that just occurred and now more mass shootings occurring. How do we, as a community, as individuals, as people who are in whatever walk of life we are that might have been touched by some of these, as family to those who might have been impacted, how do we mark this moment? How do we care for those who are being impacted? How do we take care of ourselves? It's Friday, and this is not a TGIF Friday.
Let me see. Do I have my, excuse me while I go out of screen for a second.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I like to do. And I have a candle I use. And so I am just going to light this candle because sometimes I need to see a physical light for a darkness. It's not dark around here, obviously, but to see a physical light to use as I'm remembering when I see a candlelight, I know what's inside of me, if that makes sense as a metaphor. I was just talking to my own therapist this morning about the difference between putting up boundary lines and living in fear, and what do you do to feel whole in the moment? Because it seems like that's about all we have. And when I see a candle lit, I know I identify with that candle, that there is still a light inside of me. Now, I'm not saying this in a spiritual sense. I am saying this in a metaphorical sense. When these things go on and you feel lost, when I feel lost, when I feel afraid, what is it that I can do in the moment? Is it taking a breath? And it's never taking the breath in, it's the breath out that relaxes you so that you can take another breath in. Because whenever these things happen, we tend to hold our emotional breath and forget to breathe. Or we forget, even physically, you tighten up. So,
how many people watching this, when you saw the news, felt your shoulders go, oh no, not again? It literally tightens you up, which also tightens your breathing up.
Exactly. And I think of COVID long haulers. That is the last thing that you need right now. How these collective griefs are literally not heart stopping, but there is a pause where you come out of a flow of even breathing. It is a pain. When you have pain, you stop, and you like. It is the opposite of what you want to do. You tighten up. So, what is it that you, as listeners, or you, Jill, or I, what can we do just for a moment, not forever, but what can you do for a moment?
Right.
I have to take a breath even talking about it, because I like.
Right. And you know, the light is such a huge metaphor. Excuse me, I have to pick up an oodle who's wandering. The light is such a huge metaphor for so many spiritual belief systems, and has been for eons. And you know, if you look at how we use lights for holidays, how we use them for anniversaries after a loss, how we use them to mark birthdays. Lights are how we associate life in lots of traditions. And if you can find a place to focus on that, whether it's a candle or an electric candle, if you're not safe around lit candles, right? Real fire may not be the best idea.
No.
Those are the ways that one of the ways we can do it. There's also scent. You know, if you've got an oil burner and you can put in something that causes relaxation for you, whether it's lavender or eucalyptus or one of those that can say, all right, I need to literally just take a breath. Even as a long hauler, I can do scented oil sometimes still. Do you need to pick up the oodle, right? And feel that heartbeat against you.
You know, that's so important. If you have a pet, or you can be around someone else's, to feel something alive. And there is also, and I totally confess this, that after my mother died, I knew in the family here, hugs. I went and bought myself a teddy bear to hold at night when I needed something that I didn't want to ask anybody else to give me. I self-soothe.
That's something I suggest for parents who are taking children to funerals and memorials. Is make sure that somebody shows up beforehand, and not just the primary children, but every child who's there and grieving gets not any old stuffed animal, but something that's got that super soft fur that causes us to want to snuggle in, right? So that and something big enough for them to hold on to. Not the little one, something bigger. And you give one to every child, because that way when it gets tough, they can bury their head in that. And when they go home, that's their security bear or their security dog or their security whatever it is that you bought, right? That's something for them to hold on to. And when they're sad about that person, they've got that there.
And this whole broadcast is about what helps you feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
What is safety to you? And safety to you might be different than safety to someone else. Yes, it's true. I have self-soothed with food before. That is,
Normal.
that's very normal. Some people actually shut down and cannot self-soothe with food. They cannot eat. It's just not going to happen. Just once again, as we're talking, it's like something shuts down inside,
Right.
right? And that's like you can't get that breath out
Mm-hmm.
to trigger the breath in. And what is it? Do you need to buy flowers for yourself? Do you need to say, hey, Facebook friends and family, I need a hug right now? You don't have to repost like, if you love me, you'd send me a hug and repaste
No.
it. And no, just say, I need prayers. In fact, right before I got on, there was someone from another laughter person, his wife of, I don't know, 50, 60 years, he was disconnecting her from life support and
He
asked,
was allowing a natural death.
right. And, this is, and he just moved someplace new to be closer to children. He, I, I don't even know what to say, except I can walk with you. Another friend had nothing but rage for things that are going on. What do you say? I will walk with you.
You know what I told one of my friends who's amazing therapist and a woman of color who has a child, of course, who is young and is also has dark skin, and she lives in Minneapolis, and she's, partly she's struggling, I think, right now with seeing lots of other people not even noticing the social justice issues going on right now, not feeling impacted or unsafe by listening to the trial going on. And my initial reaction, which is what I said, I wish I could just put you guys in a blanket fort and just lock the world out and lock away all the personal struggles and just let you guys have that blanket fort time to feel safe. And that may be an image, but it also can be literal. I've had clients who built blanket forts and just sat and used an electric candle because, you do what you need to do to feel safe, but let's also be especially cognizant of those who typically don't ever feel safe anyway, because we have the privilege of walking around, me with my blonde hair and blue eyes, and it gives me a sort of a sense of safety that other people never have. And that's compounding this right now.
I want to talk about a time where I literally was fearing for my life and had to just flat out lie, which was I was coming out of public health and it was dark because of the time change. So it was probably October or November.
Right.
My daughter was there. She was 14 at the time. She'd often get dropped off at public health. Who said I was raised in an STD clinic. So I think I got it all, Mom. And anyway, as we're walking out to our car and there was nobody else in the parking lot, a bunch of teens of color were surrounding our car and me. And I'm like to my daughter, get in the car, get in the car, get in the car, trying to just look straight ahead. And I had gray hair at an early age. And so someone said, are you her grandmother? And knowing that, I said, yes, I am. They go, okay, we'll leave you alone. Because the respect for grandmothers. And we got in the car and I'm like, whatever you have to do to keep yourself safe, don't worry about the judgment of others. because you can worry about that or yell about it or whatever. Do what you need to do to keep yourself safe, whether it's emotionally and other people don't understand, physically and other people don't understand. With a lot of social anxiety these days, you do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. And, others can judge you because they don't have those same fears.
Let yourself grieve, let yourself be in touch, let yourself connect. But look out for those that you are sure or might consider that they don't have other kinds of safety. So Brandy Lynn said, thank you. So many assume if you have mental illness, you'll shoot up places. It's insulting. I also think people hide behind it. I have depression, overcame anorexia, but I wasn't violent. And Doug Muirhead says, unfortunately, mass shootings all involve guns, and you can't talk about guns without politics in the U.S. I always get angry after a mass shooting, which is probably better than numb. And yeah, it is. We don't need to increase anger, but we definitely need to find a way to cope with the anger and to express it and to reach out to those who are probably feeling it most of all. Right? I was held up in an armed robbery one night, and I saw a police officer pass me and not notice that my car was surrounded. And I had a gun to my head, and I immediately after it was over, barreled down the street in my car and crossed the street in a most unsafe manner. There were no cars there to put my car next to the police car. I never had a thought that that police officer would think I was a threat and might shoot me.
Right.
And there's my privilege. Right. So we have whoever needs to do what they need to do that will make them feel like they can be safe. We're right there with you. But those who need to honor those who are having a hard time, reach out to them. And if you're in Indianapolis and you know somebody has just lost someone, drop off the blanket that might make a blanket for it.
Yeah.
Right?
No kidding.
Warm, fuzzy blankets are a beautiful thing when you're having a hard time. When I have grief clients in my own office, back in the day when we had offices, I had big furry blankets. And I had a big furry rug, and I would say, slip your shoes off on the rug and pull your feet up under you. And here's the blankie. Here's the stuffed animal. Here's the live dog. Make yourself feel comfortable and safe while we talk.
Here's some hot tea.
Remember? I was going to say that, and hot tea as well.
Here's something. I'm not giving you something warm for the outside, but I'm giving you something warm for the inside. And the thing that's warm for the inside is coffee, tea, hot water, and lemon.
Stay in touch. Stay in touch with your feelings, though. Doug is right. We don't want people to be numb to this.
Right.
Because last night 7 people lost their lives. And they deserve not to have us numbing out over it and not paying attention to it because it hurts us. Because an entire community was just hit by that. Right?
I got nothing else, Jill.
I got, let's everybody take care of those we love. Let's reach out to those in support that are having a hard time. Let's be kind to those that we wouldn't ordinarily even speak to. Let's make sure that if you are out in public and it feels safe, even with our masks on, we can say hello and give the nod of the head, which says, I'm safe and I'm feeling safe with you, and I acknowledge that you're here and we're part of a bigger community. And let's be kind on social media, and let's remove ourselves from social media if it's too hard. You don't have to be there. You don't have to watch the news. We know what happened. And if something else happens, somebody's going to text you. Right? Your phone will blow up. Right? Exactly. If you are partial to Grey's Anatomy, there was the whole show last night was about the fear of people of color in terms of what goes on today and law enforcement interactions and that sort of thing. I am very supportive of law enforcement. We have lots of them in our family, but we also have some in every community who are not who they should be and who abuse their power. And it was about that kind of thing, as well as ongoing grief. And so if you want to get in touch with that, Grey's Anatomy. If you don't, leave it on the DVR for a while, folks. You don't need to watch it. Right? This may be the weekend for My Fair Lady. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
And reach out to those that you know who need it. If you know somebody who was involved in a prior shooting, shoot them a message of some sort and tell them, I'm here if you need to chat. Right? Or I'll drop off the ice cream. Right? And if somebody else is having another kind of loss right now, make sure you reach out to them as well.
Right.
Give them a little sunshine. Give them the pat on the back, and hold the space for them.
Yeah, just give me your heart for a second. I mean, those collective seconds really help.
They do.
Supporting people. So, people say, what do you say? I'll take a breath for you. Because they've been holding their breath. I'll hold the light for you. Because they're feeling, And
if you know somebody who has died, make sure you tell the survivor what you'll always remember about them and how much they impacted you in a positive way. What things you will always carry, whether it's a relative of theirs, a friend of theirs, a colleague of theirs, a pet of theirs. Tell them what you will remember. Okay.
All right, folks.
Let's see if we can have a better week. Let's be kind to each other.
Be kind.
Find some humor somewhere because it makes all of this so much easier. And we know it makes us physically better.
Because a good laugh means you're breathing.
That's exactly right. All right, folks, we will see you next week. Thank you for being here. If you have comments, leave them on our pages, especially the one with the palm trees and the sunset. And we will definitely read them. We appreciate all of them. Make sure you subscribe to the page so you can come here every time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.